It was the astronomer and Horace Drew, they thought that the decimal points should be 1.31, and they had a different number here, and that would have been absolutely where Town Hall is in the center of Woodbridge, Suffolk, England. And it made sense from the standpoint that if this is a time machine and it is here to do something, that it would have latitude and longitudes on the sphere of the Earth to which it was going for specific work. And that's why I have thought that the Town Hall latitude longitude made perhaps more sense. None of us understand origin year 8100. Nobody knows, can understand what that means. Now, what happened in Rendlesham Forest was apparently of great interest to the Defense Intelligence Agency remote viewers working at Fort Meade, Maryland, next door to the National Security Agency in 1986. Lynn Buchanan worked in a DIA unit called DTS. Their goal was to research the potential to use psychic abilities to spy in a program called Stargate. It became Stargate when the DIA decided that the remote viewers were so accurate they could use it to spy. Please underline this in your mind. It became Stargate when the DIA decided that the remote viewers were so accurate they could use it to spy. On July 14, 1986, one of Lynn's assigned practice targets was, quote, Rendlesham Forest incident, quote, close quote, at RAF Bentwaters Woodbridge that had occurred only 6 years before on December 28, 1980. This is a page approved for release 2008, August 8, 2000. CIA, all of these numbers, remote viewing session data. Remote viewer LB is Len Buchanan. Interviewer ED is Ed Dames. The date of this remote viewing, July 14, 1986. The time, 11:09 hours. That would have been in Fort Meade, Maryland on the East Coast. The site was the building that they were in. Here's the shiny NSA building here. And over here are the little barracks, and Jim showed those photos yesterday. That's where the remote viewers were, next to the big shiny NSA building. Here is the essence of what he saw.
I got that the driver of this vehicle is not in the vehicle. He's somewhere else.
Like this object that you are remote viewing in Rendlesham Forest could be a drone that is not manned, but that the intelligence associated with this is somewhere else.
Yeah, and that's when I got AOL break. Oh, I'm viewing ATs. So move me back to the place with the yellow light. That's when I got an incubator. I definitely realized that this young person, whatever, was in the place with the yellow light, and that it was an incubator. Putting my analyst hat on, I would tend to say from this one session that this craft was looking for an ideal place, and once it found it, that incubator would open up and provide a living space for whatever was in it.
And you mean that the incubator in the black glassy craft, which is the outside version we have from the Pennison drawing, it would then deposit the extraterrestrial life forms in the incubator in a site on this planet to grow into whatever those extraterrestrials are.
That would be the analysis of that one session, yes.
Now, you did other remote views on RAF Bentwaters later on.
I was tasked with finding the power source. In fact, I still didn't know really what the Bentwater thing was. I got the propulsion system was a very small, enclosed thing that didn't really hook up to the craft, but was in some way providing a field of energy around the craft. And it was in an enclosed container type thing. When I was told to mentally move into the container to find out what was going on, I was not able to do that.
And this is the black box that you encountered in that very first July 14th, 1986 remote viewing. You didn't know where you were at the time, and you didn't know what it was.
That was it, yeah. And this energy type box has come up in several other things, like Sacsayhuaman that has, I think, 100-ton stones.
Sacsayhuaman is in Cusco, Peru.
Yeah, and there was a tasking about how those were moved. I've heard a lot of people say those were moved by sound and all that, but that's not what I got in my remote viewing session. I got that there was some kind of an object that emitted energy that could surround something and make it to where you could just pick it up.
Right, it would neutralize gravity.
Yeah. I had a task one time of the Utsuo Bune, which was an ET that landed in northern Japan. In that case, this female-looking being came out of the ship. She carried this box with her, and she never let anybody have this box. And I think the box, whatever was in the box, was what made the ship move.
Time machines with incubators to seed planets, ETs manipulating genes to create hybrids and clones. The Truman administration's MJ-12 knew they were dealing with technologies that were, quote, eons ahead of us, close quote. But they wanted to retrieve and study as much as possible, and one of the most difficult parts to understand has been the alien self-activating software. That software has been described by one whistleblower as making various ET spacecraft, androids, and other technologies invisible to human eyes, like this naval ship fading into and out of visibility in an October 2015, this month, Northrop Grumman Facebook posting that provokes the question, is this back-engineered ET technology from the Lieutenant Colonel Corso and General Trudeau efforts from long ago? In addition to invisibility, the extraterrestrial technology is described as functioning with self-activating software that can neutralize gravity and project three-dimensional holograms as camouflage that human eyes and minds cannot detect in the Earth environment. The concept of self-activating machines programmed by very advanced non-human intelligences to neutralize gravity, render invisibility, and project holograms came into sharper focus for me in May of 2007. That's when a series of photographs of dragonfly-shaped, highly strange aerial craft began to emerge, beginning with this one taken on May 5th, 2007 in Lake Tahoe, California, by anonymous email to MUFON. And then the images were sent to me at earthfiles.com and the Coast to Coast AM websites. The next day, on May 6, 2007, the series of photos were taken by a man who called himself Chad. He said his location was in the Bakersfield region east of San Luis Obispo. The symbols along the underside of this tail are important, and I will get into them more deeply in a few minutes. Then 10 days later, on May 16, 2007, a man calling himself Rajman 1977 said he was with his family having lunch in Capitola, northwest of San Luis Obispo, when they saw this in the sky, and he took a series of photographs. On this map, these are all the areas where there were sightings reported between May and July of 2007. First, Lake Tahoe, Yosemite National Park, Kings Canyon National Park, Sequoia National Park that are near, these are not sightings, but this is very close to, these bright pink outlines are the China Lake Naval Weapons Center. Bakersfield region where Chad was, the drone with the yellow flowers. Coming up here, east of San Jose is Castle Air Force Base at these center pink dots. Between Capitola here and Monterey in this area, these are two more pink dots that mark the United States Army's Fort Ord. Capitola, I'm getting myself, Capitola where Rajman was, and then near San Jose and Saratoga is the Big Basin Redwood State Park. All of that in about 8 weeks. And then, as I was reporting on Coast and Dreamland and other radio and constantly at earthfiles.com, I began to get reports from people who were sending me illustrations of what they had seen in Oregon, Arizona, Alabama, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Ohio, going back as far as 1987 to 8 period in Louisiana at an Air Force show where the man who called me, and he's never allowed me to use his name and voice publicly because of his work currently, but he said, look, I've seen one of these machines and it was off limits in a hangar, and I only got in there because I was with people who had clearances. And he said, Linda, they had one of these things up on a pedestal in an engineering hangar. On June 5th, 2007, this photograph and these others were emailed from a Stephen F. Jane and Jenna, who said this aerial object was above them in Big Basin Redwood State Park when they were out doing a hike. That same day, June 5th, 2007, I received in the mail, hard mail, photographs, 12 of them. They were 12 glossy print photographs from a Ty Brannigan, who said that he took them from his bicycle with a group, also on June 5th, in the Big Basin Redwood State Park near Saratoga, California. Ty sent these photos with a 2-page typewritten letter that included descriptions of twice seeing these aerial objects, this thing, flicker in and out of invisibility to visibility to invisibility while rotating slowly clockwise and then counterclockwise randomly. It actually scared the bicyclers with him. And he became frustrated that he wasn't getting the camera out that was in his pack to tape because they were flickering in and out. So he got his camera, he says this in the letter, and he put the strap over his hand in case it came, and it did, and he snapped away these 12 shots before the strange aerial machine flickered out again to invisibility. The Dragonfly drone photographs were attacked by mostly anonymous sources on the web as CGI and Photoshop productions for an upcoming electronic game and/or movie, completely untrue.